Imagine this, a company that doesn't really make anything, doesn't really own much, but on paper is worth tens of billions. Bosses quietly cash out. Employees are told, put your whole future into our stock, and when the trick fails, pensions, jobs, savings vanish in weeks. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't like being played by people in suits, this story is your test. Because the darkest part of Enron is not one clever trick. It's the combination of sex, fraud, arrogance, shredded evidence, and polite applause from the financial world while it all happened. By the end, you'll know how Enron faked billions, how traders joked about robbing grandmothers, why an auditor helped destroy evidence, and why this pattern refuses to die. Act 1. From boring pipes to smartest guys in the room. Enron starts out painfully boring. Pipes in the ground, natural gas, small fees to move it from A to B. Stable, regulated, predictable. Then U.S. energy markets get deregulated. Less fixed pricing, more trading, more bets on future prices. Suddenly, gas is not just fuel, it becomes a number you can gamble on, like a stock. Enron doesn't want to be a dull toll booth anymore. They want to sit at the casino table, where everyone places their bets, and they take a cut from every hand. Executives rebrand Enron as a high-tech marketplace for energy contracts, run by the smartest guys in the room. On the outside, it looks like the future. Online trading platforms, complex models, slick roadshows. On the inside, it is still mostly a middleman business, wrapped in buzzwords and ego. On Wall Street, complexity is a love language. If you don't understand the business, you assume that's your fault, not theirs. And as long as the narrative sounds smart, the stock price climbs. Act 2. Turning guesses into guaranteed profits. Core of the game. Mark-to-market accounting. Normal world. You sign a contract, do the work, get paid, then record the profit. Enron world. You sign a long contract, guess how much you might earn in total, and record the entire guessed amount as profit on day one. So if a deal might bring $100 million over 10 years, Enron books $100 million immediately. Even though the money isn't there, the deal could fail, the estimate could be fantasy. On paper, Enron looks like a profit machine. In reality, a big chunk of those profits is hope dressed up as certainty. This method can be legal if estimates are cautious and honest. Enron pushes it to the edge. Every new contract becomes a chance to pump reported profits higher now and let the future deal with the hangover. Once you live off that trick, you're trapped. If real life underperforms the fantasy, you either confess or you start burying the bodies. Enron chooses the second option. Act 3. Financial dumpsters, Raptors, and a family signature. To hide the rot, Enron builds special-purpose entities, side companies that are supposed to carry risk away from the main balance sheet. In theory, they're independent partners. In practice, they are financial dumpsters. Bad deals, falling assets, ugly losses are thrown into these vehicles so that Enron's core numbers stay clean. The architect is CFO Andrew Fastow. He doesn't just design these entities, he personally runs some of them and earns tens of millions from them. One famous structure, LJM, is literally named after his family's initials. The board signs a conflict of interest waiver so he can sit on both sides of the table. Enron's CFO and head of the independent buyer of Enron's worst assets. Some of the most toxic structures are nicknamed Raptors. Inside Enron, executives know they are close to collapsing, but the losses are not shown to shareholders. Vice President Sharon Watkins sends a memo warning that Enron could implode in a wave of accounting scandals, and that the company might be seen as nothing but an elaborate accounting hoax if those vehicles blow up. From a distance, this looks like sophisticated risk engineering. Up close, it looks like hiding losses in companies you secretly control while pretending everything is fine. Act 4. Sex, strippers, and a $250 million exit. While the illusion holds, insiders cash out. Executives sell stock, collect bonuses tied to inflated earnings, employees are nudged to overload their retirement plans with Enron shares and believe in the company. One of the wildest arcs belongs to Lou Pye. He is a powerful Enron executive, introverted in the office but a legend in Houston strip clubs, often using company resources to fuel that lifestyle. He starts an affair with a stripper, she becomes pregnant, and his wife files for divorce. To fund the settlement, he sells a massive block of Enron stock, roughly $250 million, before the company collapses. Later, he settles civil insider trading charges for tens of millions and accepts a temporary ban from serving as an officer or director. Even after that, he ends up as one of the largest landowners in parts of Colorado, far away from the rubble of Enron. The punchline? Fraud didn't save him. His personal chaos kicked him out of the burning building early and paid him on the way out. Act 5. A culture that turned honesty into suicide. Inside Enron, people are ranked against each other brutally. Every year, a fixed chunk of employees is labeled bottom and pushed out, even if the whole group works hard. That system sends one message: don't be the person who slows things down with uncomfortable questions. Be the person who keeps the numbers pretty and the story exciting. In that environment, whistleblowing feels like career suicide. Silence feels rational until everything explodes. If you've ever worked in a place where everyone smiles in meetings but complains in private, imagine that with billions of dollars, Wall Street pressure, and legal gray zones layered on top. Act 6. Playing God with California's lights. Around 2000 to 2001, Enron's trading desk targets loopholes in California's partly deregulated power market. They invent strategies with names like Death Star, Fat Boy, Get Shorty, and Ricochet. It sounds like a video game, but the damage is real. By rerouting electricity on paper and gaming complex rules, they create artificial congestion and profit from price spikes. For normal people, that means higher bills and, in some cases, rolling blackouts. On taped calls, traders mock the very people they're hurting. In one infamous moment, they joke about Grandma Millie, the poor grandmothers in California, and laugh about power being jammed into her at sky-high prices. This is not a glitch in the system. It's deliberate exploitation, spoken out loud, recorded, and laughed about. Act 7. When the smartest guys start to panic. For years, the illusion survives on confidence and complexity. Then, in 2001, the first cracks become impossible to ignore. Sharon Watkins' memo warns internally that the structure is unfixable, and that discovery is now likely, especially after a sudden CEO resignation for personal reasons. Analysts and journalists begin asking basic questions. How exactly does Enron make sustainable cash? Who really bears the risk in those side entities? Why do the financial statements look like a maze instead of a business? Once the stock price starts falling, the entire design unravels. Side entities tied to Enron's share price fail. Debt and losses that were hidden off the balance sheet flood back in. By late 2001, Enron admits huge errors in its numbers and restates earnings. Confidence dies in real time. Within months, the company that sold the future files for bankruptcy. Thousands of employees lose jobs and retirement savings. Executives who sold early land far softer. Act 8. The auditor who fed the shredder. Arthur Andersen is supposed to be the adult in the room, the independent firm that checks the numbers and says no when things look wrong. Instead, Andersen earns large consulting fees from Enron while also signing off on its audits. And when investigations start, a senior partner leads a shredding campaign to destroy Enron-related documents. He later admits in court, "I obstructed justice." Emails about the firm's document retention policy work like a coded signal, a reminder to destroy anything not strictly needed to support final conclusions. Colleagues hear shredders running and warn that this is absolutely the wrong moment to be feeding machines with Enron paperwork. And it still continues. The result? Andersen is convicted of obstructing justice, loses its ability to audit public companies, and collapses, taking tens of thousands of jobs with it. Not for inventing the fraud, but for helping hide it, and then trying to erase the trail. Act 9. Why this is still about you. Enron is not just a case study in bad accounting. It's a checklist of how power behaves when numbers, status, and bonuses matter more than people. You have executives turning guesses into guaranteed profits, a CFO building lost dumpsters and paying himself from them, a vice president writing, "We may implode in a wave of accounting scandals," traders laughing about Grandma Millie as they squeeze her bills, an auditor feeding shredders while regulators close in. And around all of that, a halo of experts, banks, analysts, and politicians who, for years, found it more comfortable to believe than to question. If you don't want to be the next Grandma Millie, you don't need more buzzwords. You need childlike questions when something looks too impressive. What exactly do they do? Where's the actual cash? Who gets hurt if this goes wrong? Because the next Enron won't call itself Enron. It will come with a cleaner logo, a cooler founder, a new technology in the same old pattern underneath. The only real protection is refusing to clap just because everyone else already is, and being willing to kill the magic trick by asking one stupid, simple question at the wrong moment.